Is Engin Terzi thinking about introducing drug testing at East versus West? And if he does that, will this be an end for arm wrestlers like Levan Saginashvili, Denis Siplenkov and Devon Larratt? But before we discuss that, let's talk about the results of the amazing AMC 8 tournament, the results of the tournaments and also the super matches that were held there. So first of all, 65 kg weight category. Daniel got first place, Maxim got second and Roman got third. 75 kg category, probably the most famous one on this card. Oleg Cherkasov got gold by defeating Svetan Gashevsky and Alan Zoloev. This was one of the most hyped categories, as we already discussed, and we saw a few things. And one of those was that maybe Alan Zoloev has some troubles against King's Move. I know Svetan is probably the best King's Mover in the world at that weight, so we cannot really say that Alan Zoloev really has a trouble against King's Movers, because maybe everyone has some troubles against Svetan Gashevsky at that weight. But what we saw is that Oleg Cherkasov was able to flash pin Svetan Gashevsky to win the gold. How much of that was because Svetan was already tired after arm wrestling Alan Zoloev for almost over a minute, and how much of that was due to Oleg Cherkasov's explosiveness and his technique. But one thing is for sure, Oleg is proving his dominance in Russia by defeating these guys multiple times, and Alan Zoloev's hype of being this indestructible guy at 75 kilos is kind of over. He lost pretty bad to Daniel Prokopchuk, he got top rolled there, and now he lost to Svetan Gashevsky as well. It wasn't an easy match for Svetan, but he wasn't in any trouble despite being it a very long match. In the 85 kg weight category, Maxim won first place, Ibrahim won second and Zaza won third. 95 kilos, Roman first, then Marat, then Vadim. 105 kilos, Anton, Georgi and Kirill. And in the super heavyweights, one of the most famous categories once again, Farid Osmanli defeated Zaur Pezulaev once again and Anzor got third. So we thought initially at least that in the absence of Vitaly Laletin, Zaur Pezulaev will be the man to beat, but that's not the case anymore. Well, Farid Osmanli won when he was given a super match at AMC against Dmitry Silaev, and now he won the tournament as well. So in Zaur's absence, he is the man to beat, and even Zaur Pezulaev's hype has kind of died now, which is very unfortunate. In the super match results, Vala Ichikiti defeated Sarmat Digorov with a score of 4-1 after initially getting flash pinned by Sarmat in the first round. This was not a close match despite the score being 4-1. Eldar Bubenko versus Zurab Tavbaridze. Another athlete whose hype is kind of dying off is Zurab Tavbaridze. He has not been winning too many matches lately, so Eldar won this match quite dominantly with a score of 4-0. Marat Aibazov versus Sergey Bogoslov. This one was an amazing match and the score was 2-2. Then finally Marat Aibazov won with a score of 3-2. AMC provided us these amazing matches with perfect video quality. I hope we were able to understand the language, and this may give them a good idea that maybe they can hire some English commentators who can commentate remotely, and probably they can charge some fees for that, because guys living in North America, they are more than willing to pay for good quality content of arm wrestling. But the least that we can do is go to the live stream, give them a follow and give it a like, thumbs up and stuff like that. That's the least that we should and we can do. And now let's talk about Engin Terzi's reply to one of the comments under his recent video. Engin, regarding testing, do you think it's a good idea? I think older athletes like Devon, John, Michael, etc. being competitive, still able to progress, reaching new peaks is a good thing, and the sport benefits from it greatly. With testing, it will not be possible. I agree with this comment almost entirely. Engin replied, I understand, but it's necessary. And Engin has been saying that testing is necessary. He has been saying that for almost 2 years or almost 3 years since he started East versus West. And arm wrestlers do like to say that this sport has longevity because even 50-year-olds can compete at a very high level, unlike some other sports. But how much of the credit for that has to be given to drug testing, the absence of drug testing? Because in other sports, there is some drug testing, that's why the older athletes cannot compete. So maybe it's not just about the strengthening of the steel tendons that the older athletes have in arm wrestling. For example, bodybuilding does not have testing, and we can see some bodybuilders or even strongmen that are a little bit older, not as old as arm wrestling, but definitely older than other sports. So the absence of drug testing definitely has to do with the longevity of an athlete. So now the big question, is it possible and will Engin do it? The short answer is no. Initially, when people do first order thinking, they might think that if drug testing is introduced, then Devon will be gone, the names mentioned in this comment will be gone, all of the top athletes basically will be absent from arm wrestling, and arm wrestling will take a hit, which is true. But that's not going to be Engin's fear. Engin's fear is going to be, if he introduces drug testing, then it will leave a huge void for other arm wrestling leagues to fill. So let's imagine if drug testing is there and Devon cannot compete, Levan cannot compete, Michael Todd cannot compete, and Denis Siplankov cannot compete. Soon there will be a new league who, with open arms, will invite all of these athletes, and Engin will lose his edge. And that is something that nobody, including Engin Terzi, is going to be able to do. And that is willfully giving away all of the good athletes, all of the pay-per-view sales, all of the profits to some other league. This is just not going to happen, and drug testing will not be there at East versus West or King of the Table anytime soon. That's my thinking, that's my logic behind it. Do you agree with this? Please mention in the comments, like the video and subscribe.